Today in geometry we're going to focus on surface areas of prisms and cylinders. So first of all, let's kind of hit our piece here with vocabulary, and then we're going to go on and solve some problems. So first of all, if you have a prism, it's a polyhedron that has exactly two parallel congruent faces. In other words, if you were to look at this picture, you can see the triangle here and the triangle here are the exact same size. And all the rest of the sides of this would be rectangles. Okay, so when I'm talking about a prism, it'll have two matching bases, and all the rest of the sides are going to be some kind of a quadrilateral. Now, bases are these two that match. They have to be parallel and exactly the same, so congruent by every means. The lateral faces are the faces that go around your shape. Now, it goes around in this direction here. Doesn't include the two bases. So if these triangles are bases, all the rest of the sides of this would be a rectangle. Those would be lateral faces. Now you should be able to figure that out, whether it's standing up and down like this or it's laying on its side and going left to right. Another big piece in this is that in order to be able to name a prism, they're named by their bases. So if this one happens to be a triangle on the bottom, then this would be a triangular prism. If it was a square on the bottom, it would be a square prism. It's pretty straightforward. Now, they're also going to use a height here. A height is a perpendicular segment that joins the two bases. So if I wanted to get I'm going to grab my highlighter here so you can see this. This line right here would be one that I could have a 90-degree angle down here. That would be the height between the two bases. So this right here is what they're talking about down here in the height. Now, lateral area is the area of all of the sides. So if I want to find that, to do lateral area, I take the perimeter of my base and multiply it by its height. Pretty straightforward. Now to find surface area, I have to use the area of all those sides plus the area of the two bases. So if I look over here, first of all, I'm just going to grab a yellow so you can see this. I'm going to choose these two as my bases. And now it really helps me when I mark them. If you don't want to, that's fine. I know for me that helps. So if I look at these two bases, if I wanted to find the surface area, the bases here would be 4 by 3. And there happens to be two of them. So I would do 2 times 4 times 3. That would give me the area of the bottom and the top. Now they also say that you're supposed to do the perimeter times the height. So listen, if this is 4 here, then that means this back edge back here has to be 4. If this is 3, then this is 3. So if I'm looking for my perimeter here, that would give me 14. And I have to multiply it by the height of 5. So if I went through now and started to multiply and kind of add my stuff together, then I'm going to end up with a surface area of 94, and this has to be centimeters cubed or squared because it's area. Now really what this is really saying is if this were a box of cereal and I took it apart and I measured the area of every single rectangle that made that up and added them all together, it would give me 94. So remember, this is 2 times the area of the bases plus a perimeter times the height. Okay, that's that formula that you're using. Okay, now, these are a little different because of the way they're turned, but I kind of want you to get that this is the same idea. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mark the bases. And I can tell right now that my bases are those triangles. Okay, now, if I want to go through and do this, remember to find my surface area. I have to do the area of my bases times 2 because there's 2 of them. Then the perimeter times the height. So listen, if I were to do the perimeter, it has to be the perimeter of my base. Now the thing is, I'm pretty good, except I don't know this side. Now, if I look at this, it's a 4, 3, and if I know this is going to be a 5, because a 3, 4, 5 is a Pythagorean triple. Now, if you don't know, could you use Pythagorean theorem and do 3 squared plus 4 squared equals, x squared, if you want to make this x. And you could solve it that way. But that means that your perimeter here is going to have to be 4 plus 3 plus 5. Now the height is the distance between your two bases, which happens to be 6. Now, to do this triangle, the good thing is we have the base and the height here. So remember, it's 1/2 times, let me see if I can move this down a little bit. Let me get rid of this. Okay, so 1/2 the base times the height. And now my job is really to put that in my calculator. So it's going to be 2 times 0.5 times 3 times 4. So this part's going to give me 12. And then this other part I have 4 plus 3 plus 5, which is 12 times 6, which is 72. So if I add those together, I end up with 84. So my surface area equals 84 centimeters squared. Now, the next shape they want you to look at is a cylinder. And a cylinder is a little different because it has bases that are circles. So that means our lateral area is going to change. So it's going to be pi times diameter squared, which is the circumference. Because you can notice that it's got 2 pi r and diameter times pi, which are both our circumference formulas. So they have kind of these formulas going on over here. So first of all, if you have radius, you're going to use that, one of these two formulas. If you have diameter, then you're going to want to plug it in here. That way it's going to save you a little bit of time. So let me show you an example so you can get this kind of the idea here. So first of all, I can tell by looking at this picture that I have radiuses. So that means that to find the surface area, I'm going to have to use 2 times pi times radius times your height plus 2 times pi times radius squared. So in this one, I know all my radiuses are 4, and I know my height is 6. So if I plug that in, 2 times pi times 4 times 6 plus 2 times pi times 4 squared. Now, I am a little concerned on this one because the directions say find it in terms of pi. So that means that when we're down here, we're going to simplify everything except for the pi spot. So on this one, 2 times 4 times 6 would be 48, so this is going to be 48 pi. Now over here, 4 squared is 16, times 2 is 32. So if I were to put those together, I would have 80 pi, and this would have to be inches squared. So actually, I think the surface area ones may be a little bit easier than when you're dealing with cylinders than they are with the other ones.